Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our WWE show for the week. First off, we're going to start with the so-so segments of the night. Basically the stuff that's not bad, it's not good, it's just there. And the first thing is Natalya and Rosa Mendez versus AJ Lee and Paige. You had three really top-notch Divas talents and one that's pretty good in Rosa. And it didn't, I don't know, just didn't connect. And I've enjoyed what Paige and AJ have done. I've enjoyed Natalya being inserted into the mix. Just for whatever reason, it didn't click for me. Paige and AJ pick up the win, continue their little frenemy thing they got going. I don't know. Maybe it's run its course. Maybe them doing the same thing after every match has finally gotten old. Next up, Adam Rose versus Titus O'Neil. We seen this match last week. Pretty much same outcome. The Bunny and Heath Slater get at it at the end, outside the ring. It distracts Titus O'Neil. Adam Rose picks up the win. Just weird match, a weirdly placed match. Hopefully they're gonna do something with the Bunny. Somebody will be in a costume, and I've read the rumors that they might potentially be doing. I'm not gonna spoil that here because this isn't a spoiler show. But most likely, if you watch my show, you've read the rumors as well. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Next up, we have the bad portion. The stuff that was I could have did without it being there. And much like the tag match, something that's grown old is the Lana and Rusev promos, which are pretty much the same thing every week. This time adding the Russian national anthem. I don't know, to me it's just the same shtick over and over again. To be exciting, you have to evolve. It's something like, if you think about it, let's say someone like CM Punk, who came in as the babyface, I don't do drugs, I'm straight edge, and then morphed it into the straight edge society, morphed that into, all different kinds of things, New Nexus, the pipe bomb, all that stuff. If you think about it, your great wrestlers will evolve and continue to add to their gimmick or change their gimmick up here and there. To me, this isn't evolving at a fast enough pace. I guess we're going to see his first real strong competition, which I thought Jack Swagger would be, but Mark Henry. So hopefully that'll end up being good. The next thing is one of those moments where you're ashamed to be a wrestling fan. But Stephanie McMahon bring out Jerry Springer, who's trying to reconcile the Bella twins. For one thing, does anybody still care about Jerry Springer? Is his show even still on the air? Does anybody know? He peaked 15 years ago. Jerry Springer was hot in the Attitude Era. No one really watches it. Your target demographic, teenagers from about 16 to about 25 probably barely remember Jerry Springer, and if he's still on, which I honestly don't know if his show's still on or not, they may catch it, but Jerry Springer's not anything special anymore. They bring him on, and anybody that's watched Jerry Springer, and as you can see, I haven't in a very long time. I never was a big fan of Springer. I'd watch it here and there. It was basically one of those shows where if it was nothing else on, you'd watch just because of the car crash factor of it. But he was never known as someone that put people together. He was known as someone that caused fights. We seen the father of the Bellas, the mother of the Bellas, the younger brother all come out. Ends up in a cat fight, of course. Stephanie gets involved. They all start rolling around. The Bella twins are horrible actresses. And the less they talk, I think it'll be better for the show, in my opinion. But this was just a terrible segment. Again, something that you're just embarrassed to be a wrestling fan watching. And last but not least, in the bad section, Stardust and Goldust versus Los Matadors. To me, again, they've been doing these weird things, and I know you can't, you want to bring in new talent and raise new talent to different levels, but did anybody think that Los Matadors had a chance? I mean, this would have been well suited to be a Superstars match, main event match, not Monday Night Raw, and not at the time slot it went at. I think it was second or third to last, but just an underwhelming match. The Stardust and Goldust are a good team. Los Matadors actually are very talented, hindered with a pretty bad gimmick. After the match, we see the Usos come to attack the Dust Brothers, setting up their feud going further. I don't know, just to me, very lackluster. Now, coming off of that, we're going to go into the question of the week. Now, the question of the week last week was, which star is in need of a repackage? And we got some answers. First is from my cousin John. I think you hit it with Damon Sandow in need of a repackaging. I like that he has fell into the multi-role and thing and just went with it, but he deserves more than just a stunt double. Maybe that is supposed to propel a future feud between him and The Miz. The Miz fills his role and Sandow wants out of the shadow kind of thing. Another wrestler that needs a change, Adam Rose. Instead of party all the time, it should be the party's over. Time to get serious. He's had flashes of awesome on NXT and Raw. His matches are so short. When he starts to open up that mean look, he has to control it to stay in the happy party guy and starts prancing around when he needs to go with the anger. Leave the Rosebuds behind and just keep the bunny because JBL hates him so much. No more crowd surfing, no more prancing, no more ass smacking, just no more. He seems to be getting annoyed with his own character. Turn his entrance more like a rave, still a party guy, but with a dark side. Next is from our friend Steve Tatanani. I think Adam Rose is most in need of repackaging. His ring entrance was cool at first, but now my opinion has gotten so corny. He was an awesome wrestler who is not showcasing all of his talents. I think they should repackage him as a wrestling machine like he was when he wrestled as Leo Kruger in FCW. Have him in the IC or US title picture after being repackaged. Next up is from our friend Dizzlepup. Great question. Cesaro's current gimmick is not working. They need to do something new with him or I'll end up plummeting down the roster like Ryder or Ryback. I'd like Kofi to be repackaged as someone serious, not so happy and playful. Like we have discussed before, he has talent to burn, and I'd love to see him taken seriously. Finally, Damien Sandow needs to be taken seriously. The thing is, not all these guys need to be in the WWE title picture. This is why they need to make the IC and US titles more relevant, build heat around them, and give them guys something to do. Before I move on to our next one, that is an amazing point. And I'm going to digress a little bit, it's something that people, like fans of Dolph Ziggler, which I'm a fan of Dolph Ziggler, I think he's a great talent, I think he's very good. People think he's not getting a push because he's not the world champion. Well, let me tell you something, people. Roddy Piper was never a world champion. Ted DiBiase was never the world champion. Mr. Perfect was never the world champion. All these guys are amazing talents, Hall of Famers. Rick Rude, never world champion. Well, he was in WCW, but in WWE, never a world champion. You see where I'm getting at? You don't have to be the world heavyweight champion to be important. Does anybody forget Roddy Piper? No. Roddy Piper is one of the greats of all time, world champion or not. Not everybody is world championship wrestlers, and he deserved it probably. And there's tons of them, tons of people that never got to reach the top that probably deserved it. But not everybody could get there. You make the belts more important, you give the other feud something important. One of the greatest matches of all time is Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage from WrestleMania 3 for the Intercontinental title. Just saying. Back on track here, though. From our friend Joseph Hatcher, Darren Young, because he hasn't wrestled much and his character, in my opinion, seems bland, but with a repackage it can make an impact and be entertaining to me and maybe others. I do think he's got talent, but it needs a new storyline and a new gimmick. The only thing I really worry about of repackaging Darren Young is they go too stereotypical on the gay factor. I don't care that he's gay. Most of America doesn't give a crap that he's gay. Most of America has come to accept gay and lesbian people as just part of society. We work with them every day. We go to school with them every day. They're our friends, they're our relatives, they're our neighbors. It's not the 1980s, and I think the WWE, I'd be afraid that they wouldn't handle it properly and make them too stereotypically gay stereotype, when we all know there's no gay stereotype. There's gay firemen, there's gay policemen, there's gay football players, there's lesbians that are in every walk of life, gays in every walk of life. It's, like I said, I just am scared that if they repackaged him, they would go too flamboyantly gay, too Johnny B. Bad, too Adrian Adonis with it, if you get what I'm saying. Last but not least, our friend Benjamin Me19. Hey, Heel Heat, I'd like to see Big Show's character rehashed. Big Show probably isn't going to be around much longer, and I think it would be great if he was built constantly as a monster. Maybe he goes on a Goldberg-like streak and loses a retirement match at WrestleMania to a young future star to help build talent. I've been disappointed by the booking of Big Show, and I think that they should make him a similar legend to Andre the Giant while they still can. Big Show, I think they've ruined him, kind of. They bounced him around face to heel so much that no one knows what he is, if he's a face, if he's a heel, or anything else. I do agree, he's a great talent. He's amazing. For a big man, what he could do is just off the charts. Again, it's another thing where I don't trust the people running the WWE to actually go through and make it something interesting. Now, my answer is kind of like what a lot of you guys said, Damien Sandow. It's a real shame that the Money in the Bank winner from, I think it was last year, not this Pierce, not the one where Rollins won the year before, one of the only two guys that lost the Money in the Bank cash-in, has been on a steady decline and now is basically the comic relief when he was on a trajectory heading towards the top. Great character, great look, great promos, great ring talent. They kind of, I think they missed the buck. Another person, I mean, Sandow's the obvious guy because he's got talent for days. Kofi Kingston again has talent for days. Some guys they don't know how to push them. It baffles me watching how you could see the talent and you could see it not being used properly. Another guy that I think is very much in need of a change is Sheamus. I'd like to see Sheamus go back to being the monster when he first was there, not the, hey fella, John Cena light that he is. Basically, same character as Cena, just with an Irish accent and red hair and a brogue kick. I'd like to see him go back to being evil, being someone that's a threat, instead of being someone that's a silly guy who loves to fight. But anyway, great answers, guys. I appreciate all of them. They were all very good and very much appropriate, to be honest with you. Now, coming off of that, our question of the week for this week. Seeing Rusev and hearing the Russian national anthem made me think of other Russian characters that have used it in the past. So my question's a simple one. Who's been your favorite Russian wrestler? Now, they don't really have to be Russian, they just had to have played a Russian character. It's been a crutch of wrestling since the Cold War started. There have always been Russian villains and some Russian faces even. Who has been your favorite? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter. Put it down where? Down there in the comments. Now we're going to get into the good. The show started off great. Chris Jericho versus Bray Wyatt in a cage. They put on an absolutely entertaining match. Bray Wyatt picks up a sneaky win as they're both fighting to get out of the cage. Afterwards, he attacks Jericho because Jericho injured his knee on a crossbody coming off the top of the cage, which was very impressive. I liked that Wyatt won. I liked that he got vicious afterwards. It set him up to move on to something else, which we seen Jericho later on. Randy Orton would attack him in the trainer's room, so obviously he's moving somewhere else too. So maybe Bray Wyatt can move on to somewhere. Maybe have him go for the IC title or go for the US title. I think the Wyatt family is well overdue for getting titles into their picture. Next up, the Dolph Ziggler promo, which had The Miz and Sandow come out try to attack. Ziggler runs them off. I just thought it was good. I'm really liking what Miz is doing with the character. I agree. I agree that Sandow needs a repackaging, but for right now, this is kind of working. And him feeding off of this feud, which I think's been a very good one between Miz and Ziggler, surprisingly, because who would have thought Miz had it in him? I think it's going to propel Sandow into being a bigger star. Now, speaking of big stars, we had two of the biggest stars in wrestling up next. Paul Heyman and John Cena. Paul Heyman comes out, cuts a promo. Cena comes out. Paul Heyman channels his inner Emperor Palpatine and tries to convince John Cena to feed into his anger and join the dark side. Cena goes into a serious promo, and it's been well documented by me on this show. When John Cena does his serious promo, and he's not trying to be funny, he's not trying to be goofy, he's not trying to insult people. When John Cena goes into serious promo mode where he's talking like he wants to fight somebody, he is absolutely one of the best promo men in the business. Bar none. Too often he falls on the crutch where he's goofy, he's John Cena, you can't see me, laying jokes. Too often he falls into the Rock category, but he's not the Rock. John Cena, to me, is Rocky Balboa. And he should be that. He should be the inspiring guy that talks about, I'm going to fight, and I'm going to fight with all my heart. And that's what he did here. He says he wants to see Lesnar next week on Raw. He's going to either fight Lesnar or he's going to fight Paul Heyman. Great promo. Probably sold a ton of network subscriptions so they see the rematch. It's just what it is. Paul Heyman's amazing. Cena in that role is amazing as well. Next up, we had the aforementioned Sheamus versus Seth Rollins. Rollins picks up the win after Sheamus gets distracted by Cesaro. Afterwards, Cesaro attacks Sheamus. I hope they go somewhere with this and Cesaro's just not fed to Sheamus as another victim. I hope it takes Cesaro back to prominence. Like I said, I hope Sheamus gets a repackage. Maybe sees that being the good guy isn't getting him any further. Who knows? Next up was the surprise of the night, a pleasant surprise at that. An NXT TakeOver 2 Fatal 4-Way, which is what they're calling it, preview match on Monday Night Raw. 3 guys got to make their Raw debut. Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn versus Tyler Breeze, those 3 are the debuting guys, and Tyson Kidd. Fantastic match to showcase to people who haven't seen and haven't watched NXT. Go buy the network so you can watch NXT because it's amazing. It's the best product that WWE puts out. You got 4 of the top talents on the show. Everybody's familiar with Tyson Kidd. Neville, Zayn, and Breeze come on to Monday Night Raw, put on a show. Adrian Neville, I think, stole the show. And it's no knock on the other 3 guys in the match, but he showed that he is absolutely the best high flyer in professional wrestling. Bar none. Any promotion, anywhere in the world, I deny you to find a better high flyer than Adrian Neville. He's taken over the role that Rey Mysterio once held, in my opinion. But a great match. Neville and Zayn pick up the win. Neville hits the red arrow, which is, I don't understand how he can make his body do that. I just don't. Just an amazing move, an amazing match, an amazing showcase for some of the great up-and-coming talents. Last but not least, we have Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. All night it was teased that Orton's going to destroy Reigns. We see him go out to the ring. Orton calls for the Authority to come out. Kane and Rollins come out. We see the cage get lowered back down. Orton gets caught with Reigns for a little bit till the Authority comes in, and then they lay the beat down on him. Standing tall over Roman Reigns to end the show. It's a good way to end it. Good way to bring Roman Reigns back into this and keep him going with his feud with the Authority. Keep him, in my opinion, the more we can keep him away from the title picture till at least WrestleMania next year, the better it's going to be for his career in the long run. But a great way to end the show, in my opinion. Now, coming off of that, we're going to jump right into our ratings. We have a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. 1 is a Great Khali, 2 is a Heath Slater, 3 is a Stardust, 4 is a Cesaro, 5 is a Daniel Bryan. I'm going to give this show a 3, a Stardust, very middle of the road. A lot of great stuff, but just as much bad and so-so. And again, the structure of the show, it kind of felt like they put the main event first, and then went from the main event down to the low card before they did the main event, the actual main event of the night, which it was weird. They started off with a cage match, which should be main event. They had another main event, but everything else, it kind of went down the pecking order. It was a weirdly structured show, in my opinion. It took away from the overall enjoyment to me. But basically, that's all I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.